Well, hello, it is Jewel, and I'm coming back with some stories that I have to tell. I'm actually going to read something right now um, that I wrote quite a while ago. I had someone steal all of my life journals. I've kept journals since as long as I can remember, probably since I was a young child. I've had dream journals, I've had miracle journals, I've had just everyday journey journals, um, I've had healing journals, and a number of years ago, about 6 years ago, someone decided that they would take them, that they needed them worse than I did. And actually, the purpose of that, I think, was to see if they could use it against me. And I find my journey mine. Um, I just don't find that you can use someone's life journey against them. And I have plenty of wonderful things I have done in life, and I have plenty of mistakes and error that I have done in life, and I'm comfortable with all of it. And some things you might go, man, maybe I should have made better choices, but I didn't. So now, as I'm getting closer to 60, it's just your life. And if you don't like the choices you make different choices. If you want to judge people, don't. You will find everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has something happen, and they choose the things they choose. So embrace your life path. Embrace what you've learned. I've learned so much, and I have so much more to learn. But this is just something I wrote, I would say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, just trying to remember some of my, not necessarily my stories, but just some of my events that I don't think about every day. And if I could talk to you every day and use my hands, and then I would remember them all. As I told you earlier, my friends and my daughters will say, oh, story time, and we'll repeat the same stories, or sometimes I have new stories. I have a lot of stories, a lot of cool stories, as you do too. We all do. But I have dedicated my life to trying to learn the mystic ways of the universe. I want to know the secrets. I want to know that secret place in your heart, and I've learned it's in your heart. How to walk there, how to stay there, how to be at peace no matter what the storm. And this world challenges us beyond belief, doesn't it? So I'm just going to read this. So I'm sorry that I'm looking down. And there's things I'll elaborate on it as I read it. I haven't read it since I've written it, which I usually don't. But so it says, all my life journals have been stolen. So I will rewrite the stories I've told so many times. My children have listened to all my stories, and so many times they finished them for me. I have many friends that do that as well. It still excites me to think of all the times I have encountered God, angels, spirits, ghosts. I have seen miracles, lots of supernatural happenings, and all these bring me back to knowing there is a higher power. There is a higher power. God, Goddess, Great Spirit, the divine universe, call it what you will. But for me, it is God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. I have studied Buddhism, Native American teachings, and many more teachings, Wicca, the list goes on. I honor them all. I honor your path, honor mine. And they're all so similar. I love the practices that honor the supernatural and the divine healing. The use of creation, stones, oils, herbs, color. I find some of the Christian faith is afraid to use God's creation for these purposes, so they call it witchcraft. They don't understand that you can still honor the Creator, worship the Creator, and honor and acknowledge and learn the creation. This is for our use. This is for our healing. This is for our knowledge. This is so we grow and learn that sacred place, the secret place of our hearts. These things are for this purpose. They say I'm a witch, like it's a bad thing. I'm a healer. I've seen some magical things. I refer to them as miracles. Great desire to see things manifest have always been part of my life. I have spent many years in prayer, meditating, studying, and walking the labyrinth, needing to learn life's mysteries. I do fireworks. I'm sorry, I do not do fireworks. I do firewalks. I love the Native American teachings. The Lakota are my people, although I have no Lakota Indian in me whatsoever. Studying the goddess was awesome as I read the goddess and angel cards. I do these every morning. I want to know what we're capable of accomplishing here on earth. There's so much to learn. It's easier if I just talk than try to read this. I want to see, my desire is to see physical things grow, limbs grow, legs grow, arms grow. It can be done. Christ said we would do this and so much more. I am an ordained minister. I'm a Reiki master. I have a certification in healing touch. I'm a certified aromatherapist. I've always used healing stones, hot stones, color therapy. I love it all, and I think there's a need for all of it. I understand that we're only a vessel. It is not us. The Spirit works through us. The energy comes through us. It's all about energy, vibration, frequency. But as you lay hands on people, it is the Spirit energy that comes through you. It's only using you. It's one reason, too, that we have to talk about keeping our vessel clean. I have taken a 6-year sabbatical, as I've told you before, and food was my drug of choice. So that we start getting back into the healthy way of life for our mind, for our spirits, for our physical body. I have seen some really, really great things manifest. I have just stories that are so unbelievable that people have healed, animals have healed, cars have flown over. And these stories I'm going to share with you on through my videos that I want to tell you it's story time. I do believe that your story is already written. I believe that we come to the end of our life the same way, but we have all these different choices we can take. And very seldom does one just walk the straight path, because that would be way too easy. So we're going to arrive whatever our life purpose is, but we have lessons to learn in this lifetime. And in the next one, we'll have other lessons. But we will arrive there eventually, according to the choices we make. Those of us that are constant truth seekers, we get back on path a little quicker sometimes. It took me 6 years just recently to get back on path after 20 years of being on path. So it just depends, but we will get there. My interest in God and Jesus started when I was young. I think I've already told you that. I went to a Christian school, had Catholic tutors. I saw things manifest. At age 9, I started seeing auras. At age 12, Mother took us to meditation. I've done firewalks. I've done healing circles. I lay hands on people. It's just amazing the things that we can do when we keep our mind pure, when we stay out of the worldly stuff, when we stay out of the gossip and the things that we need, materialistic things that we're always needing. Now, after I have been on my 6-year sabbatical, I chose, after many years of teaching meditation, massage, aesthetics, the Chinese cupping, a better way of life stones, I chose to make some bad decisions. I chose to run because this way of life consumes me. It takes all my energy and all my time, and I love it. But having relationships, intimate relationships, isn't important to me. And other people, when I say I'm going to stay in and pray, which I don't tell people that often, but I have a few friends, they don't understand it. And about 6 years ago, I decided to be very self-destructive. I started smoking cigarettes. It would have been better if I started smoking pot. All my kids were grown. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to sit in this big house where I always saw clients and my students and taught so many wonderful things, and had uh, bonfires outside, spiritual fires. I just decided to start smoking and destroying life for a while. Um, so as I came back to wanting to live my path, as I came back to path, I am so blessed. I've had so many great things happen, but I'm going to continue on with my young years, and then these are the years in Texas, years that of marriage, and then my Virginia years are when I really start seeing so many miracles, when I really start seeking truth. Because I think, as I said before, I used to be so metaphysical you couldn't stand me, and then I became so religious you couldn't stand me, and then I found a balance of, I don't even know if it's religion. I don't like religion. I found a balance of God, universe, goddess, spirit, and it's brought me back. And it was actually through the death of my sister that got me back on path. But anyway, so my next story is, and I didn't really read all that because I can't read and look at you and think about all that. But I'm back, and I'm glad, and I don't like the chaos of life, and somehow we get wrapped in it if we're not careful. So I go to work because I still have to work, and I stay home, and I'm hoping to see clients again and start my little community. I have visions of a community for women where it's a healing house, a little cafe, and we teach women vocations or a trade where they can make a living and be self-employed or even employed by someone else, but they don't have to end up in the rat race of the world thinking that a 9 to 5 is the only way to survive, because it is not. So my next story I was going to tell you is my life in Portland, Oregon. I got caught having sex with my boyfriend at 16. Yeah, shame on me, but it's what happened. And so my parents shipped me off to live with my older sister, Mary, and her husband. They were hippies from the 60s. They got high, partied on. Mary worked as a nurse. Glenn, I don't know, I think he worked for the railroad. I don't know. But so I get shipped off to live in Portland, Oregon from Irving, Texas. 16 years old. And Mary and Glenn lived in this craftsman style house. It was built in 1913. They bought it from a woman named Clara, and she and her family had lived and died in that house since it was built. And this is the 70s. Now remember, this is the 70s. And when they bought that house, Claire was so sweet. And I saw her a couple of times at the nursing home that she had moved into. But she sold them that house with all their original furniture. The attic was full of all their original stuff. The basement was full of the tools and stuff. And it was just awesome. And so when I first moved there, and Mother and Daddy leave, and Mary and I are sitting at the table getting high, and she tells me the house is haunted. Now, Clara's husband's name was Harvey, and so we referred to the activity in the house, the ghostly activity in the house, as Harvey. Always when we got scared, we'd always tell Harvey to quit. So we're sitting at the table, and she says, Pookie Jane, which is my nickname, the house is haunted. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I had seen spirits in my lifetime, granddaddy walking past, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it was 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, a big walk-in attic with the staircase, walk-in basement going down. And so at night, I would hear people, or footsteps, maybe not people, up in the attic. And I would always go out loud, Harvey, you're scaring me. Now quit walking up there. And one day, there was a door that swung from the kitchen to the dining room. I always loved that, the swinging door. And the door just started swinging by itself. And I'm sitting on this horsehair couch that was in the house that was beautiful. And I'm sitting there, and I feel someone come sit down next to me. The newspaper's laying on the couch. It does not pick up but it starts turning. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, Harvey, stop. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. And so it stopped actually. And Harvey was the last living person in the house. And that door would go back and forth. The TV would come on sometime in the bathroom. The sink water would come on. There was just so many fun things. So one night, every Tuesday night or something to the effect, Mary and I would go to eat Chinese food. We would walk up to wherever the Chinese food restaurant was. And when we came and we'd walk home, and one night we come home and we are in front of our house and we see the screen door, the front door, open and close, the screen and the front door, and an inside light flip on. So we run around to our neighbor's house and we could see the front and the back from his house, and his name was Frank, and we called the police because we were so sure that someone had come into our house. And the police came out and they searched the house, and there was a bong on the table with some pot. In Oregon, it was decriminalized. And they took Mary and I off in separate directions and talked to us. And apparently we had the same story of what had taken place. And they actually laughed and said that maybe we needed to quit smoking so much, that they just thought we were stoned, and that's all it was. But I am positive we saw that door open, lights go on. So for Christmas, Mary and I thought that we would make everything edible on the tree. By this time, Mary and Glenn are separated. He was odd. They're separated. Mary and I are living in the house alone. She works. I go to high school. Greatest high school. I got great stories there too. But we make everything edible on the tree. We strung cranberries, we strung popcorn, we had little gingerbread men that we wrapped in cellophane with a red bow tied and put it on the tree. Well, the next morning when we got up, all the gingerbread men were gone. The cellophane was still on the tree, tied, no holes in it. We have no idea. Sounds a little freaky. Can't help it. It's the truth. Don't know how the little gingerbread men left. But the bags did not have hole, because logic tells us that a mouse got to it. There would be a hole where they ate it. They could not have untied it and tied it back. The cranberries were there. The popcorn was there. Just all of our little gingerbread men were gone. So that was always a fun story for us to share. And that was the Portland years. Little things always happened in that house. That was probably the greatest year of my life as a child, as a teenager. Even though it was meant for punishment, I learned so much. I experienced so much. I got in my first fight that I've ever been in my life, and probably the only real fight I've ever been in my life, physical fight. It was just such an interesting time. After Oregon, Dad, around Christmas time, made me come home. He got mad at Mary, and I had to come back home. And I was just so disappointed that I did, because it was just a fabulous time in my life. I learned a lot, not necessarily spiritually, but I got to experience a lot of growing up. You know, and when you're young, that's always good. Always good. So today, I guess my video is going to be a little shorter, because what'll come next is I'm trying to keep it to more supernatural stories. I mean, I could tell you about my fight. It was a good one. But I'm trying to keep it to a little more supernatural stories. We all have times that we've seen things, or I've been pushed before to keep me from hitting my head on something. These things happen to all of us if you pay attention. We see sequences and numbers. Those are your angels. They're getting your attention. We hear certain songs after we've thought about something. So all of us are surrounded with supernatural things. Our angels are here. The word angel means messenger. They're here for our bidding. We never, or we very seldom know to call on our angels for help, and they are there. I believe that our stones, I've got some beautiful stones. They're all over. Have a magnetic force around them that line up with the magnetic force of the center of the earth and create this healing field. That's why when you put stones on you, you wear them. It's a healing modality for you. Well, I think that's all. The next stories will go on to a little later in life. I mean, I have a lot of fun stories, but I'm trying to keep it to seeking stories, supernatural stories. And after my 16th year, I just lived life. I finished high school. I moved to Austin, Texas. I lived there for a year. I came back. But got involved in church, got out of church for the same reasons. But then things started making parallel universes that would happen in my life that would wake me up to seek more. So 16, 17, and 18 years, partied on like everybody else, graduated high school, did lots of fun stuff, from rafting in the river to tubing to hiking, hiked on the Appalachia, just lots of fun stuff. But I'll always kind of go back and forth. But I think next time I'm going to try to start on one of my marriages that lasted for 20 years. I've been married twice, one 8 years, one 17 years. My marriage to Jim, he tried to get me into church. I had my oldest daughter, who is just precious. She's grown with my grandson now. And I don't recall a lot of the supernatural. That was a hard time for me. I live next door to a sister that I just, for whatever reason, we don't get along very well, although I love her. And I don't remember a lot of supernatural things then, except, well, that's not true. One day Jim's uncle died, and Jenny and I, my daughter, was sitting in the den, and I see Uncle J.Y. pass through the bedroom, and right after I see him pass through and I go, oh, that's JY, the phone rings, Jim answers it, and he gets a message that JY had died. We just saw him go through the room. My daughter Jennifer, when she was little, she would do things like, oh, Mammy's calling, and the phone would ring, and it would be my mother on the phone. They call her Mammy. Or one day we were driving home, and she said, who's that man at our front door? And when we drove up in the driveway, there was actually a man knocking at the front door, but she had said that blocks before the house. So I had bits and pieces. I was more interested in learning how to parent correctly. I mean, if there's a correct way, you do the best you can. But my kids are fabulous, so I did something right. Learning about crystals. I would put them in my gardens, my rose. I had lots of rose bushes in my 20s and gladiolas. So I was learning about the energy of crystals with that. I've prayed my entire life. I've gone from formal prayer to just conversations with God. So those years were the years that I was figuring life out. And it was good. My ex-husband, my first ex-husband, his name is Jim, but he is a Jim. He's awesome. He is still my friend. He's a great guy, just not my guy. We've been divorced a long time now. But anyway, so I hope you have a blessed day. I hope that my stories, even though I jump around and it's not formal and it's not what etiquette of videos or storytelling is, I hope you enjoy them. I hope you hear things that you like. I hope it makes you want to share your stories as well. The supernatural is awesome. The more we seek, the more we learn. Life is just fun. It's just hard. It's just fun. So blessings to you. I lift you up. I hope you have a great few days or week whenever I come back. And see you next time.